All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to give you the latest out of Gervonta Davis's camp as Coach Kenny Ellis gives his take on the upcoming rematch between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach, and some of the things that he said may surprise you. So let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, I ain't gonna lie, man, I'm really nervous about this rematch between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach. I'm gonna do my best to continue to talk about it because, hey, man, there's so much Gervonta Davis stuff out there that is bad, where people are really weighing on the guy. So I just want to use every opportunity I can to talk about this fight coming up, because I think it's going to be another exciting fight and another exciting fight card, and a fight that the first time around, a lot of people really trashed and thought it was going to be a garbage fight. And to most people's pleasant surprise, some people's dismay, if you're really a Gervonta Davis fan, the fight wound up being very, very competitive. And now they're going to do a rematch. There was conversation about when the rematch was going to happen. We think we got it down to August 16th. So now Kenny Ellis gave an interview to Mill City Boxing, in which he actually discussed the preparation of the fight and what he thinks is going to be different about the fight, but also some things that comments were made about Lamont Roach and what Lamont Roach had been doing since the last fight that he kind of chimed in on. So before I get into the details, though, and tell you what I think about it, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you're a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you guys so much for your continued support. It really makes a big difference to the channel. So Kenny Ellis is the second trainer for Gervonta Davis. He also trains fighters like Truck Simpson. Talked about Truck Simpson in this interview. But Kenny Ellis is one of the best trainers in boxing, second guy in the corner. Is responsible for a lot of the real tactical decisions and tactical analysis that goes on in Gervonta Davis's corner. So you have Coach Calvin, and Coach Calvin is the head trainer, and you have Coach Kenny, who really specializes on preparing game plans specifically for opponents. So to have him talk about what's going on with Lamont Roach, I thought was interesting and insightful, because what he said was that, one, he's not falling for the okie doke. When Mill City asked him, hey, what do you think about the fact that, that Lamont Roach was seen at a basketball game chugging a beer? And I would have added to the question that you see Lamont Roach out giving a bunch of interviews, doing the interview circuit, right? Kind of being a little bit out of character leading into the rematch. Do you think, and this is what Mill City asked, do you think that is something you guys are taking in consideration in preparation for the fight? And what Kenny Ellis said was, look, man, we're not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. We know what Lamont Roach brings to the table. And he says that Lamont Roach is, we're not believing that he's out there drinking or blowing up a bunch of weight and all of that. He says what most people say: hey, we're going to prepare for the best version of Lamont Roach that is going to, that'll come for us. But the way that he saw the fight coming out was he said he sees it like the fight before, a lot of really crisp shots landing. And the fight is going to be similar, but hey, the fight at the same time is going to be very different. Now, I just happen to have a very good friend named Phoenix the Assassin who breaks down fights for me. He's a trainer, got a world-class eye for fights. And what he speculated should be the difference between the first fight and the second fight for Gervonta is that Gervonta is going to need to spend a lot more time fighting on the outside and scoring points for a longer period of time on the outside, and then making sure that, and basically forcing Lamont Roach to try to initiate something with slower hands, score his points, and get out. And he said the reason that he believes that Lamont Roach would be able to do that and have a good amount of success in that is because one of the weaknesses in Lamont Roach's game is that Lamont Roach doesn't cut off the ring very well. And that during the first 6 rounds, you can see him having to follow around Gervonta and Gervonta being able to score from the outside. Now, the problem with that is that, Gervonta typically does not have a very high punch output. And there is just a real bias. In my personal opinion, there's a bias against Gervonta Davis to where if Gervonta Davis isn't knocking you down in the middle of a ring, that people tend to score the fight against Gervonta, that round against Gervonta and give it to the other person. I can't say that that is a trend that necessarily is taking place with the judges. I have not seen that take place with the judges. I think that the judges have pretty much scored Gervonta Davis's fights fairly. The one issue that I do have, though, is that when that knockdown was not scored, when Gervonta took a knee, that the judges gave Gervonta a 10-9 round or 2 10-9 rounds were given to Lamont Roach in a round that Gervonta otherwise would have won. I think if that situation had not happened, I think Gervonta Davis probably would have won that fight, and he probably would have won it by a round or 2. So the fighting on the outside, not necessarily waiting to pot shot Lamont Roach. But I also think that Gervonta also has to be a lot more crisp in his combinations on the inside, specifically with his uppercut, which I think was really missing the mark for Gervonta Davis that entire fight. And that is a weapon, I think, Gervonta, especially his uppercut to the body, because once his uppercut to the body went low a couple times and the referee called it, he was very, very hesitant to throw that again. So I just think that as long as Gervonta Davis is more sharp, if he can sharpen himself up a little bit more, make those uppercuts land on the inside and not land low to kind of wear at Lamont Roach's body, and don't be afraid to fight from the outside, but also know that when you step it up, so is Lamont Roach, and Lamont Roach is going to be working pretty much off the same patterns, and know the patterns and can predict the patterns that Gervonta Davis is working off of in the last fight. And I think he may be able to predict those patterns in the second fight too. Just kind of depends on what happens in camp. But at the end of the day, without a doubt, I'm really looking forward to this fight, and I think that this is going to be probably one of the best fights of the year. It's a wonderful thing that is happening again, because now we can appreciate the technical skill and the abilities of Lamont Roach, which Kenny Ellis was very, very clear with in saying, hey, man, Lamont Roach can fight. We know Lamont Roach can fight. We picked Lamont Roach because Lamont Roach can fight, and he thinks he's going to see the better Gervonta Davis, come out this time. I certainly hope we do, but at the same time, if Lamont Roach winds up being the winner and Lamont Roach can, ups his game and really proves that the first fight was what the first fight was, and that's what it's going to be every time, hey, man, maybe we can get a trilogy. But at the end of the day, I'm just happy that we're getting the fight. Hope that the undercard can get laid out pretty soon so we can start talking about that. But other than that, let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.